Time now for the markets with Leighton, and the August crop production reports are out.
They are out, and significant, of course, because they are the first objective yield survey of the 2012 crop. Also this week in the markets, rising prices hurt U.S. corn demand. Higher crude oil prices are said to be supportive to cotton, and tight supply should boost cattle prices. This edition is being recorded just before the release of the monthly crop reports from the USDA. On average, Dow Jones Newswires reports that analysts overall expect U.S. corn production to be down almost 2 billion bushels from the July figures. Average corn yield is cut 20 bushels per acre from last month. Now for soybeans, U.S. production is projected to be down 264 million bushels from July's report. The average bean yield is cut 3.3 bushels per acre from last month. Many analysts are saying there's no doubt the present corn market is starting to hurt demand. For example, this week South Korea passed on a purchase of 70,000 metric tons of U.S. corn for December because of high prices. And there are now even reports Japan is buying corn from Brazil and the Ukraine instead of the United States. Some traders say they feel that getting Friday's first objective yield data in the new reports should help make the corn picture a little clearer.
Wait and see till we get out in the fields what the actual yields are. I think we tend to forget that we've got a lot of pretty fancy hybrids out in the country that have the ability to yield fairly well if you get any kind of rain. So there is some decent yield potential yet in some of these areas.
Meanwhile, the ethanol production outlook for this year continues to fall, given the Midwest drought's impact on those corn prices. The Energy Information Administration has lowered its 2012 U.S. production forecast for ethanol over 3%. The EIA does say it expects ethanol production to recover some by the second half of 2013. Well, after being lower still earlier in the week, cotton traded higher Thursday morning after the new weekly export sales report. Sales came in about as expected, according to analysts. Extension Ag economist John Michael Riley has some analysis of the cotton market in this interview. John Michael, as we sit here and record late Thursday morning, I understand the cotton market trading steady to higher. Is the market expecting something out of the new supply and demand reports on Friday?
Well, I think that there is an expectation that production is going to be lower just a little bit. It's been sitting at 17 since they came out with the new crop projections. The dry weather, it really has reduced the condition of the crop marginally, not near as bad as corn or soybeans, but cotton has taken a bit of hit in places like Texas and Arkansas. But I think Mississippi's crop is doing really well compared to other regions and other states. But I think the overall expectation is to lower that production number just a notch. What the market's really been trading off here lately is what's going on in India, and they're at the monsoon season where they typically get their rain is not happening. They've dealt with this for a number of years now, and so it really is expected to lower the world supply. And I think that's where the market is really getting a lot of traction.
All right, speaking of the world, what's news out of China regarding cotton? Anything significant to speak of there these days?
Where exports are moving along pretty steadily, nothing stellar. We've seen the dollar kind of move up and down. Anytime it moves down, you see some action on the trade front. It moves up and people back off. But for the most part, China appears to be where they have been, and they're going to be a big buyer. They always will, and they probably will continue to be. So they're always the 800-pound gorilla in the room.
All right, there's been a lot of commentary this week about crude oil prices being supportive to cotton right now, as well as the dollar. Does that still hold true?
That's one of the fundamentals that we continue to see hold. Another one is just the overall economy. We've seen a jump in housing starts for the month over month. Housing starts have picked up. That's always a good indicator that says the economy is starting to rock and roll. Cotton has always been one that's more finicky to changes in the overall economy, and so anytime you see the general economy pick up, that's usually good for cotton demand.
And again, after the Friday reports, since that's the first objective yield survey, we should have a little better idea what's going on with that.
That's correct. It should be one that we can sink our teeth into more because they do have some actual field data.
A sign of China's slowing economy is being seen in the forestry products sector these days. The Chinese are reducing the number of logs they are importing from the U.S. as well as Russia and New Zealand. Wood Resources International says log imports by China are down about 15% in the first 6 months of this year. Our trivia quiz is forestry related this week. Let's take a look now. Who is considered the father of the modern chainsaw? Is it Martin McCulloch, Andreas Still, Henry Husqvarna, or Eli Whitney? I'll tell you the answer shortly. Tyson Foods, as well as other meat producers, are coping with the rising animal feed cost. Tyson CEO Donnie Smith said this week that as far as chicken production, his company has no plans to cut production because they are already producing below demand levels. Smith noted that the rising input costs will ultimately be passed along to customers in the form of higher prices for chicken, beef, and pork in 2013. For the cattle sector, expected tight supplies in the fourth quarter of this year continue to be a hot topic in the trade. Analyst Alan Brugler says this situation usually helps out prices.
USDA's most recent estimate was in the 92 or 93% of a year ago range. That's a fairly substantial drop off year over year. Our placed against numbers suggested there's a definite drop off in September and October. From the supply side, we'll have less to work with. That typically is going to drive the price up. You're seeing that with the December futures acting much better than, say, the August.
Just before a new feature story, let's see how you did with our trivia quiz this week. The correct answer is B. Andreas Still, a German engineer, patented the first gas-powered chainsaw in 1929.